Hey, Savannah, welcome back to the PTDU podcast.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Perfect. Well, we want to get right into today the power of brand and why that always will trump outreach any day of the week, especially as you kind of go forth in your career and your business. Why that's so important for you generating referrals and not kind of burning yourself out over the long haul.
Absolutely. Brand equity is something that is a little bit of a gift. It's really the gift that you give to yourself after the consistency of marketing, of your outreach, of building a network of a bunch of people that know who you are and what you do. And it's kind of that cherry on the ice cream cone when you get the opportunity to finally have a bunch of people that know who you are, know what you do, and can start to consistently send you referrals. So it's not necessarily because you've been like selling a service like over and over again, really just beating it down. What you represent after having like a year in the field, 2 years in the field, 3 years in the field is you're selling like a level of predictability, in my opinion. People can predict that you're still going to be in business, you're doing great. They're going to predict that you're providing good care, and that is a result of being able to trust you.
Yeah. 100%. And you think of any of the long-standing businesses in just the world in general, you don't even have to commercials we used to see as kids that we still remember to this day just because it showed up again and again and again. That's the type of thing that you want to go off in providers' minds when, you've been there month after month after month for the whole first year, et cetera. Now years 2, 3, and 4, they just know, okay, I'm referring to Savannah every time because she's here, she's consistent, she's going to take great care of my patients. And they don't even realize maybe year 2, you stopped going in as much and you maybe doing a quarterly drop in versus weekly or monthly at that point. And that allows you to keep focused on, okay, I got to drive patient care. I got to keep doing my outreach. And then I'm just getting more consistent. I don't want to call it easy referrals, but now you have a status and a reputation that has kind of done the heavy lifting for you. So you don't have to do the boots on the ground as much when you've advanced
Mm.
in, like I said, your marketing and your outreach.
Right, right. 100%. That's the effort of like being in the same patterns, being consistent, showing up, doing the work, and then you get to reap those benefits of putting in the work. And like you said, that's when you get the opportunity to put in that quarterly visit and they see you and they're just as excited to see you, but you don't necessarily have to lay all the groundwork and the foundation because it's already been built for you. And the really cool part is now that we've been doing this for some time, a lot of our therapists are the direct beneficiaries of this exact, reputation that they've built for themselves. And it's not that they're not still putting in the work and doing the marketing, but it's at a lot less frequent of a basis because the providers know that they're consistent, they're reliable, and they're a good provider within their network to be able to use for their patients.
Yeah. Quickly hit on because when everyone thinks about how long it takes to build a brand, frame
Mhm.
in their mind, Savannah, because you have therapists that say, well, I went in for a month or 2 months and then, stopped and, nothing happened. What does building a brand entail? How long? Because everyone's always worried about how fast can I do it? How fast can I get the six pack? How fast can I do this? What does building a brand and reputation look like truthfully in terms of, time and standing that you're gonna put in?
This is a great question because it's not a one size fits all. If I had to compare it to anything, I would compare it to any relationship that we built. Like, for example, when we first met, we're getting to know each other, getting to know how we operate, where my strengths are, where your strengths are, and how we can weave this together at PTTU. And I think the same applies in our setting where maybe 3 months in, like you've got the consistency of they know who you are, they know what's going on. And then after that consistency, maybe 6 months in, okay, now you're at the point where they're familiar with you, you're a brand in their space. A year in, okay, you've really laid the foundation. So I'd say after a year, you've got that consistency happening and that
Yeah.
brand equitability.
Yes. Okay. So you can't just go in once a week for a month and then hope you have that relationship locked
No,
down
that's 4
for
visits. I
a
mean,
year.
think of how many people they've seen 4 times in their life.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And I
Yes.
feel like after that year mark, it's the same as dating. After a year, like, okay, well, you know that person. you've built a good relationship, you're in a good space, you've kind of seen them through their highs and their lows because a lot can happen in a year too. And these providers are a part of that process in your life as well. So you have your
Yeah.
good days, you have your bad days. After a year, I'd say you've got a good brand reputation in that space, and then you're consistently building it over time. So it's not
Mhm.
just a one size fits all. 3 months, you've probably got your toes in the sand and they know who you are. 6 months in, you could be a staple, you could be a consistent referral source. After a year, you've got those quarterly visits, you're set. They know who
Yeah.
you are, they've used you several times, and they've had patient success.
Yeah. Perfect. And then let's talk about also the benefits of having that reputation and brand. And what I mean by that is, okay, let's say you've been seeing a provider for the year. It's a competitive field. There's going to be new dogs in there then trying to go market to, that provider maybe that you're going, you've been for the last year. So now you of having that brand, that reputation for the past year, almost like fends off all the other dogs coming to attack that provider that want those referrals. And they say, no, I've been going to Savannah for the last year. She's always been there. She's taking care of all my patients. It solidifies that relationship. Even though you're not going in as much, they know, hey, I have my person. I'm staying with that person until, other notice. That's why you have to nurture those relationships and always be on your best game and always take care of those patients and not let things slip. That's kind of what you get into in years, 2, 3, 4 is don't get comfortable, still provide top notch service and all that. But your brand protects you from everyone else trying to obviously go after what you have, coveted and built at that point.
Right. It's not an if, it's a when. There's always gonna be competitors that recognize the value of what you do. It's gonna be really rare to see any company that's a one-off, right? Because as soon as people kind of learn about it, learn about the success of it, everybody wants a taste of that success. But what they can't have a taste of is the relationship that you've built. And if it's a true authentic relationship and you've really kind of put in your groundwork, you're not gonna have that problem really when other people walk in because you've been there since day one. You've already have that relationship, they trust you, you've had patient success. So if you have those couple of things layered in, you can you can take a step back while feeling confident in your relationship with them and not having somebody else come in the way that could potentially kind of pull some of those referrals from you. And even if they do, it's a consistency thing. You're still going to get the bulk of referrals, and maybe they show up and they don't do the same thing that you do. Maybe they don't provide the same great care that you do. They know you. I can guarantee that there's not another therapist walking in that's doing the same marketing as you, but maybe a marketer. Yeah, I feel like abundance is always the mindset. Don't be intimidated by other companies coming around because if you have that foundation and relationship, it's not going anywhere. Like believe in what you're doing, believe that it's rock solid.
Yeah. Brand is almost it kind of parallels a little bit with niche because what do you want your brand to be known as? And that's
Mhm.
when either your patient thinks of you, the provider who's sending you referrals thinks of you. What do you want that thought to go off in their head as? The house call therapist, the pelvic floor therapist, the my therapist for life, the person I call when I'm in pain, the person I call that's what you have to start thinking of. What do you want your brand to be for that specific person? For your patients, you want to have such a good experience with them. You've seen them maybe for 2 episodes in that first year that they know this is my therapist. They come to my house, they do my visits, and that's it. So when they go to the hospital, the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Hey, I got this other therapist," or you go to the hospital and like, "Hey, let me see your therapy." Nope, I have my PT, they come see me, and that's how you fend off, because you've built that brand with that patient that you're their person. That's when you get that loyalty where then you don't even have to do the little hims and haws of being able to, go after it because they know, hey, this is my person. Doesn't matter 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. Once they find a good provider, like you find a good dentist, you find a good doctor, you find a good XYZ, you stick with them. And that's
Yep.
the power of brand. When it comes to providers, how do you want them to know? So when a patient comes into their office, pelvic floor, oh, my pelvic floor person, Becca, etc., that's who's getting the referral. So it's as much as what do you want to be known for as it is brand. So kind of niche and brand that we've kind of talked at nauseum about. They coincide a lot.
Yeah, that was really well said. I don't know if I have, like, more to add on to that, just other than the fact that if you're what is popping up in their head, you wanna pop up as much as possible. Like,
Mhm.
it's really important to have, like, the niche that you specialize in. You want them to think of you for every pelvic floor patient, but ideally, you want them to think of you, like you were saying, for every house call. Like, okay, this
Yeah.
patient has back pain, knee pain. Yes, Becca specializes in pelvic floor, but she can see a plethora of different types of patients. So, yes, you want them to think of you in that niche, but as much as possible within that niche of doing a house call.
Okay. Let's talk about other ways to build brand besides obviously, just relationships like we're talking about. How other ways, whether it's, business cards, whether it's pens, whether it's posting online, like talk to me about brand building as a whole and maybe easy alternative ways to keep establishing yourself as, that go-to person.
Okay. Uh, brand is brand is in the little things that you do, like when you bring in your business cards and you make sure that your brand is available and present in the space that you're marketing to, but your brand is also who you are and who you present yourself as. It's not always what you say, but I guess it's also like what other people experience. So I think that your brand has several layers to it. It's obviously like the visual aspect of it, business cards, rack cards, thank you cards, anything you can put a logo on. The second tier to that is you being present in their space by how you typically move, what kind of energy you bring in there, the value you bring to their patients. And then I think the third part is like the depth of the conversations, the depth of the relationship. When you go in there, like, are they just like, how can I help you every single time? Or they're like, Savannah, I'm so happy to see you. Earlier, I was just thinking of you. We were talking about that TV show last time, and I just finished it. And kind of having conversations that sometimes may be outside of the confines of medicine, but things that you found a level of relatability to that you built your relationship with that specific person around because you got to know them on a more in depth level. So, your brand and your reputation has several layers to it. Of course, they need to have things that say PTTU on it. It has to be available so that they can just pull it and pass it to a patient. But then it's also like, how are you moving? How are you communicating? And make sure that it's on a consistent basis, even if that consistency is less frequent as your relationship develops and becomes more strong.
Yeah. No, that's really well said. Another point too, there's really good things you can either blog, newsletter, any other social content you want to put out too. I'd say be consistent. If you're talking about you write something on neuro, then you write something on orthopedic, then you write something on peds, then you write something on pelvic floor, like different art, like you're you're trying to find your audience and you just keep scattering all over the place. So then people can't associate you with, they may just associate you being a physical therapist or a knowledgeable person in healthcare. But in order to build your brand that's going to then level up, your referrals and who's kind of coming to you, pick that one spot that you want to keep honing in on. And then, week after week after week, you're putting out neuro posts, articles, blogs, newsletters, etc. You are the neuro person. When someone comes across, oh, my father has Parkinson's, that person who I really trust, I'm going right to them and reaching out. So, like I said, pick that brand that you want to be known for, house call PT, and then pair that with, I'd say your specialty and maybe your niche, and try your best to just stay on it. Stay on it. We get success is boring, I always like to say. Like, well, I wrote two neuro things. I'm gonna switch it up because I'm tired today. I'm gonna just I want to entertain myself, so I'm gonna pick a different route to go. You have to stay on it to be consistent at it because there's other people who all they do is one thing and they just keep stacking that up. So when readers, potential patients, providers are seeing these things either online or in person, they're going to start to associate them with their brand more strongly than you, who's been scattering all over the place and hasn't really identified with something. So I say just be emboldened in how you want to come across, be proud of that, and then put the foot on the gas and just triple down on it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a neurologist doesn't go around and start writing orthopedic articles, so
Yeah,
that's a really good point to make.
yeah,
Um, And you don't have to do it all. Like you said, I think that people get confused really easily. What is it? It takes 7 times for someone to remember what you do unless it's
Yeah.
a miracle and that you just really got along in the first visit and they get it. But
Yeah.
for the most part, it's gonna take time for people to really get to know you. So don't make it complicated for them to get to know you and for you to build your brand reputation because then, like, success will come a lot sooner.
Perfect. I love it. Thanks for hopping on today, Savannah.
Thank you.
All right. See everyone next time.